Alright, so this is day one, kind of. I went ahead and bought some small shares a week or two ago before I was motivated to make any videos and had my setup. So I went ahead and already sold my AMD. I wish I had bought a lot more shares. I just wasn't very confident because at the time I bought, I was pretty sure we were going to have a pullback, and I was wrong. And so when I was wrong, I was like, fine, I'll throw some in, but I didn't feel confident enough to go balls to the wall. And we were basically at what I would call the sloppy top of the market at the time. So here's what I'm currently kind of into, and we'll take a look at the general market. If you don't like the music, well, beat it, toots. Alright, so this is basically day one of the journey here. We're going to start off with some basic analysis of the overall markets, just to kind of get a idea of what's to come this week. I have a few shares that I showed in the beginning, nothing really substantial, so I'm not really all that worried. But I am looking for things or an idea of if there's any trades coming this week. So looking up at the S&P, had a pretty nasty end of the week. Got a large engulfing bearish candle, knocking out the previous two. Kind of looks worse if you do it on the daily. Kind of show more of a falling knife type of look. Here, I'm going to remove some of the other indicators. We'll start off with just SMA, Bollinger Bands, EMA, volume, and the cipher. So the cipher was built for crypto, but it can be used for any stocks. It's a pretty good tool. Again, price action tells us what's happened, not predicting exactly what's to happen. But with the cipher, when you see this yellow go below the median, it means money's coming out, as well as we had a top red dot that was formed. And we can see with volume that on this crazy rise we had, the selling volume for the end of the week was higher. So not exactly a great sign. If we look back, kind of trying to figure out the story here, you don't have to pay attention to all the news, you don't have to know everything, but price action does tell us kind of an idea of what's happening. Investors are emotional, and you got to try and not be emotional. However, you want to read their emotions so you can bring some logic into it. So this kind of April time frame, that was the tariff announcements. Got into some heavy fear, kind of sold off really harshly. And then we had some delays and some deals made, and people decided, or the market decided, risk was back on, and we're going to keep on as normal. The only problem with this is kind of discounts the impacts of any tariffs and deals, as well as like a lot of this was just not very founded. It was just euphoric, a bull run, a good one. Almost doubled, if not tripled your money on this if you invested smartly down here. So in the news recently is Fed's decided not to cut interest rates. Trump has threatened to fire Powell. That could cause some chaos, as well as some new tariffs were announced, and maybe people are actually thinking about the impacts again. It's going to be tough to tell until we see what happens tomorrow. But when you pair this with other things, you can kind of get a better idea. So same time we had the sell-off, volatility jumped up, and it's looking to break out of this bearish channel. So if we see anything like this, then this pullback could be pretty substantial. You can see the money in here, but again, it's not predictive. It just shows us what happened. So I mean, maybe this just looks something like this and goes back down. However, just looking at this and comparing it with the S&P, I'm not jumping in calling a bottom for reversal right now. And BVIX, the BVIX looks pretty similar. Alright, so the US dollar's been trending down. It's clearly not hitting the channel just yet, but it's trying to. At least it tried to at the end of the week. It did look like it got somewhat rejected. The reason why I'm looking at this is usually when the dollar goes down, stocks go up. One of the reasons is, you know, if the value of your dollar is going down, you need to make more dollars to you know, right? Now, it doesn't always follow that, but it's a good rule of thumb, just something to look at. You can see it's already trying to break back down, so we shall see on that one. Crypto had a nice sell-off. It's trading below the EMA SMA right now. Looks like we got some investors in trying to call the bottom and go back to the median here. I think it's a little bit too early, but just indicator-wise, you usually don't trade below the Bollinger Band too long, so that's probably a good indicator to make some short-term gains. I'm not confident in a long-term reversal at the moment. Yeah, Ethereum looks pretty similar. Got a crossover here, again trading under the EMA SMA at the moment. Bollinger Bands are starting to tighten up. What that could look like is going back up to here and then immediately going back down. Now, let's go to the weekly real quick. I mean, what that could look like is something like this, where it's a short term and jump back up, but I mean, that wasn't really a super positive thing because, you know, it went right back down. So the weekly green or red dot hasn't formed yet, but I mean, we'll see. I don't like that it hasn't even gotten higher yet as far as above the median here, because it looks like it's trying to stall out. I don't have any crypto at the moment, but I am interested in taking a position. I should have done this a long time ago, but I didn't, so here we are. Yeah, XRP looks a little similar. We'll see if I can do this. A lot of things have been making a similar pattern, just basically a bull flag. So that'd be cool if we created another one right now. I would expect we got a little bit of time before finding the right price to jump in at. Got the Fibonacci on the NVIDIA. I just want to test out like what indicators are working. I have found that the Fib typically is around the resistance support, but it's either I'm wrong in my channels or it's just slightly off. Again, this just kind of looks like a neutral wait and see. Like, you know, we had it pushed up to the top, and then sellers are like, nope, we kind of think this is the fair value at the moment. We're gonna wait and see. So again, kind of a sloppy top at the moment. Like if you were to buy, like what's your range here? It's a little bit of high risk, not a lot of reward at the moment. That's why I'm kind of backing off at the moment. Yep. So again, still new at creating my drawings, but if my trend channel is correct, it went above. It also went above the Bollinger Band. Tried to push way up here and essentially just got slammed right back down to the top of the channel. Now if we see a pullback, I mean, we could be looking at something like down here. Again, I like AMD, so if I could find, as long as we don't break the positive trend channel, I would love to buy back down here. Yeah, I mean, looking at something like this, I think this is gonna come back down. I've got a couple shares in this. I like the volatility. I like the chance of making some good money, but that volatility goes both ways. Again, nothing looks super negative, but nothing looks super positive for an entry right now. Like, I would love to see something like this where it goes below here and then buy up on the other side. So I'm long on this one. I'm not too worried about this. I may snag up some more. So just had a long-term bear channel and it broke out. I think we've got positive confirmation that this is going to be a good long-term hold. We shall see. It does look like there was some money out here, so maybe short-term pullback, buy some more, do some dollar cost averaging. I may have jumped the gun. This is a new ETF. I think his name's Tom Lee. He goes on Fox and whatnot. Just a guy that talks about finances. This is his ETF. And if you notice, it follows S&P and NASDAQ. So if I think there's going to be a pullback in those, I probably bought in a little early. Just got a little excited about it for some reason. So I'll be looking to do some dollar cost averaging in this one as well. There's not a lot of history, so indicators aren't fully working here. That's okay. Yeah, work a little bit better here, right? So again, you can see on the sell, higher volume. So some smart money is trying to tell us something, and they may be looking to rotate. All right, so let me put this on the week. So this could be a good or bad sign depending on what you think is going to happen if interest rates go down. So we've got long-term bear channel, bearish channel. It hasn't broken out of that yet, but pretty good into the week. Pop up here. I don't see anything. I mean, volume's not great. I don't see anything crazy there, but it is kind of a sign when you look at the VVIX and other in the dollar and whatnot, and just what's going on with the Fed and the news. Something to pay attention to. I'm still working on my screener. I don't have a lot of other stocks I'm looking at, so we're almost done here for today. So about a week ago, people were saying Apple's finally getting out of the doghouse, and then it followed the market, and they said no. And that's not super positive for an entry for a longer swing, just because it got to the middle and basically was like, no, we're not doing that. I like Apple a lot. It's a slow burner. I've had some experience on the bad and good with them. Usually when they sell, it's usually quick, and then it won't do anything for a long time. Then all of a sudden, it will just have a crazy run. So I like Apple as far as trades. It's not exactly sexy, but yeah, I've made some money on Apple. Let's go to the day here. So Meta and Microsoft had really good earnings and guidance, but from that, that blow off, essentially followed the market and went right back down. I mean, usually when you go too high, it has to revert back to the mean. I've already mentioned that. They call this like a fair value gap. So when you have when you gap up to the top or bottom, typically what will happen in the short term, medium term is it'll want to kind of go back to the middle here before it keeps going up. So if you pick the right stock right before earnings and you get a nice explosion to the top, maybe time to take some profits. This is still in the long-term good trend, so again, nothing too scary. I just, if if I'm looking for an entry, this ain't it. So, anyways, that's about all I've got for today. Again, I will hopefully by Wednesday have a better idea of where I feel, but for tomorrow, I'm not jumping tomorrow morning for anything. So we shall see. See ya.